So where did we stop off in fiqh? Okay. Did we finish that? Actually, we're starting that today, aren't we? Yes? Right, some of those things that do not break the fast. The author mentions roughly about 24 things, but we're just going to skim over it so you get an idea. But remember one thing, one principle, and I told you this in the starting as well, is that if something is eaten intentionally or mistakenly, that will break the fast. But anything eaten forgetfully or done forgetfully, then in this case, this will never break the fast. So that's the main principle behind it. So he says, eating, drinking, and sexual intercourse in a forgetful state. Now what forgetful means is that you totally forget that you are fasting. You kept the fast and then you forgot that you were fasting. Then in this case what happens is that this does not break the fast. Okay. Now for the person who's forgetful, or you feel he is forgetful of his fast, then if he is such a person that you feel has the strength to keep a fast, then in this case it's wajib upon you to remind him. It's wajib upon you to remind him of that he should be fasting. But if you feel that he's a person that he doesn't have the strength to fast, he already looks weak, then in this case it's best to just not rattle his cage. Okay? Just leave him alone and let him be. There are many things written in this as well that which will break the fast. For example, if a person ejaculates by looking or by contemplating, then this will not break the fast. Okay? Because this will be counted as due to either illness or weakness in his body. Putting on oil will not break the fast. Putting on kohl in the eyes will not break the fast, even if you find its taste in your throat. Now some people will tell you in this day and age that there's a canal, a little passageway from the corner of your eye which goes down into behind your nose. Okay? And they'll say for this reason it should break the fast. So some people will give you the fatwa that if you place eye drops in your eyes while fasting, then this will break your fast. I don't accept that. The reason for that is that first of all, we have the previous fuqaha who said that anything to do with the eyes does not break the fast. We have that position. And then in terms of science, we ask how big the canal is, not in lengthwise, but the size of the hole at the top, the mouth of this canal. And according to science and medicine and whoever deals with the eyes, they say is no bigger than the pores that you have in your body. Like the size of a needle, head. Yes. So naturally, in your body you have natural pores in your body, little holes. Yes. It's no bigger than that. So when we don't consider these pores, why should we consider that? Yes. So in that case, the hole is not big enough to say, would you call it a cavity? Yes. To say that it's a natural hole that's there, that like your ears or your nose or your mouth, yeah, that it lets water in. Okay. So in this case, we do not consider this to be something that will really let water into your body. For that reason, anything that you place in your eyes will not break your fast. Okay. If a person has cupping done, this will not break his fast. Backbiting does not break the fast. a person to make an intention that he's going to break his fast but doesn't do it, he does not do it, then in this case, this will not break his fast. Mere intention does not break the fast. Easy way to translate this is passive smoking. Passive smoking. This does not break the fast. Okay. So smoking, smoke entering your throat, bila sun'ihi, without your actions. Yes, without the person's actions, meaning passive smoking. Then in this case, what happens? This will not break your fast. Smoking intentionally breaks your fast, even if you're smoking oud. Okay. People smoke oud. Have you seen people who smoke oud? How do they smoke it? They get the oud, they burn it, they get a shawl, and then they cool themselves with it, and then they take it in. Yes? That would be classed as smoking, really. Okay.
If it's in a room in which you are, would that not apply?
I mean, is Bob Marley there? He was known for that, wasn't he? I mean, I went to one zikr once, and I entered the room, and it was just so smoked out in there that you couldn't even breathe. That's how much oud they had burnt. So you don't burn that much oud. Yes, oud is just to make it nice and fragrant. Yes, but not that you smoke the whole place out. Yes, you go into some of these people, and this is, when you get fake Sufis, they will do that. Yes, they will smoke it out so that you definitely hallucinate and say that you had a spiritual journey. Yes. They're well known for this in Morocco, aren't they? Yeah. Yes, as in, the Westerners that come to see them, and the only thing that they do, they just keep burning oud over and over and over and over again, and then they have their daf and they keep playing it. Yeah, like Munshid will keep doing it, but they keep beating the daf, and then that oud will get them into a bit of a...
Probably mixed in with some other stuff.
It is enough for it. So you get people like that, and then, you have Westerners, people, Christians and whatnot, and they're talking about outer body experiences. I mean, they do that in India as well. Yes, I watched this interview with the guy, and he goes, I forgot, they had a different word for weed in Hindi, I think. I'm not sure what they call it. But he's basically just calling the weed Baba. Because he smokes weed all day. So it was just, and he was saying that the guy was saying that he's the guy from America or UK, one of the two, and he was saying that he met him and he had a spiritual journey with him. Yes, and he's from all the sheikhs that this guy has met, this one has been the strongest. So, but he's like intellectual person. This guy, I think he was a doctor or something, but then turned journalist. Yes, and journalist as in just writing his own experiences for a few magazines here and there. But I think for the last 5 years he's been writing on this Baba, Baba weed. So he's writing about, and he's proud of the fact that this Baba smokes. Yes, and he smokes in Oka as well. Yes, and he's talking about that, these people are Qalandars. Yes. And then when he's interviewing that Baba as well, he's saying we are Qalandars and there's no Sufis like us. Yes, but this is what happens. They'll invite you to a zikr or something like that, but they won't be doing zikr, they'll just be smoking. Yes, and then whatever you say to the person after that, then you'll believe it. The person will believe it easily. Yes, and they'll be paranoid because of it as well. So these things. So smoking, if it's passive smoking, that somebody else is smoking and then you've taken it in, that will not break your fast. If a building is burning and you've taken the smoke in, this will not break your fast. If you're a fire or sisters, you're cooking and then you're taking in, this will not break your fast, so to speak. Now, the next one is ghubar, dust. Yes, dust or sandstorms or things like this. So if you actually breathe that in or it goes into your mouth, this will not break it.
The same apply to deodorants, you know, you put them on, and sometimes you breathe in.
If it's passive, it's okay. Something like straight into you, that will definitely break it. If it's just passive, you get those air fresheners as well.
Yeah.
If you spray and then obviously you take it in, that's okay.
When you put deodorant on yourself and stuff like that.
Deodorant, wearing deodorant is fine. This is what I'm saying. If the intention is to put it on yourself, then it's fine. But if it's a case of I want to eat the deodorant, then that will not. Can you get some water? In that case, he'll break it. The next thing he mentions is if you swallow a fly, okay, this will not break your fast. Okay. I would add one thing to it. If you have a hobby of eating flies, then it will break your fast. Okay. Similarly with the effect of medicine. Obviously not eating medicine when you're fasting, but let's say at Sahri time you have to eat medicine as well. So you eat medicine, sometimes the medicine has an aftertaste that stays in your mouth. Now, you've closed your fast, the aftertaste is still there. Yes? That's fine, that does not affect your fast. Okay? If a person has ghusl fard on him, this does not affect the fast. Okay, like we give you the extreme scenario that if a person needs to do ghusl, but he didn't do ghusl all day, right till Maghrib time, this will not affect his fast one little bit. Obviously it's haram because he misses salah and things like this, but it does not affect the salah.
The fast.
What's that say?
Doesn't it affect the fast?
The fast, sorry, not salah. If a person, there's few things that you can read upon them, but further on he says that if a person dives into a river, yes, this will not break his fast. Even if water enters his ears, okay, this will not break his fast.
How about raindrops? If it gets inside your mouth and you take it in intentionally?
If it intentionally, then it'll break it. Yes. If you like raining, that will definitely break your fast.
Or if other way around, you can't obviously get it out, it just goes in.
I mean, if it's unintentional, then like we said, it won't break it. Okay, but if it's like this, yes. Similarly, he mentioned something that if you scratch your ear with a stick and then you take the stick out and then place it back into your ear again, yes, this won't break your fast. Okay. If phlegm or things like this that comes into the nose, if that comes into your nose and then into your mouth or whatever, or you swallow it from within the body, then this will not break your fast. He talks about in between your saliva. It's makruh according to us to gather your saliva in your mouth, yes, and then try to quench your thirst with it. Okay. According to Imam Shafi as well, it kind of breaks your fast. So that's why we say it's makruh. Even though according to us it will not break the fast, but we only say it's dislike because Imam Shafi said it breaks the fast. So you shouldn't be doing that. Vomiting, yes, that's always people get confused on it. Vomiting, if it's natural vomit, as in it just takes place, then regardless of what amount it is in, small amount, huge amount, mouthful, it never breaks the fast. It never breaks the fast. It breaks wuzu, doesn't break the fast. But if a person vomits intentionally, yes, like people put their finger down the throat, yes, this will break your fast. Intentionally vomiting, this will break your fast. If it's intentional but it's only a small amount, then it will not break your fast. Yeah, so remember that ruling. Vomiting in a natural way, as in without you doing anything and you vomit, then in this case, it doesn't matter if it's a small amount or a huge amount, it does not break your fast. But if a person vomits intentionally with a mouthful, then it breaks the fast. And if it's intentional but a small amount, then it does not break the fast. Okay, keep that ruling in mind. So only one scenario that breaks the fast, then, doesn't it? Vomiting intentionally by with the full mouth. Okay. I think we're finishing early today, aren't we? Yes. Everybody fasting? Sorry, I'm not fasting. Sorry. So we finish early for you lot, inshallah. To eat something that's between your teeth. To eat something that is between your... You ate a boti, yes? Sari, and that's stuck between your teeth. Then in this case, you can have your lunch with it. Okay, whilst fasting. But the size of it matters. He says here, himma, generally people translate as like a chickpea, but a chickpea is kind of big, isn't it? That's a chola, isn't it? Yes? Is it? I would say something to the size, I can't think of the dal's name. You know that yellow dal that you eat? What's it called? Chana dal? Yes? Yellowy, like about that size. About that size. The chickpea is slightly bigger, isn't it? Yes? It's broken in half. Okay. The chickpeas, I'm thinking are ginormous. You know, sometimes they put them in rice. Yeah, those are big.
They're the white kind.
They're the white kind.
Yeah.
You know, those different kinds. We're not talking about the white kind, okay? And that's not being racist. Okay? We're talking about the yellow kind. Okay? And they're not from China, okay? We're not being racist. They're from India, I think. It just means that it's a small amount stuck in between your teeth. Okay. Then if you eat something like that, then it does not break the fast. Or the size of a sesame seed. Okay. Or separately, you can look at this separately, that if a person puts something in his mouth from outside, but it's the size of a sesame seed. You know the size of a sesame seed, don't you? You have it on top of your burgers. Yes, on top of your bun. They be roasted, by the way, that's why they be hard. Yeah, because they're roasted. If you get sesame seed in its natural form, then if you put it in your mouth, it sometimes just melts away in your mouth. Yes. So if you have a sesame seed like that and you put it in your mouth and it just melts away from outside of your mouth, then this does not break your fast. But with the condition that you don't get its taste in your throat. If you get its taste in your throat, that's a sign you swallowed it, isn't it? So you have to keep an eye on that condition. There you go. These are the things that do not break the fast. Any questions on these things? Anything that you think that does not break the fast? That means you know it all. Go for it.
You know, my son's asthmatic and some told me he was seeing the smoke. Frankincense and myrrh.
What's the story?
Frankincense and myrrh.
Okay.
Smoke is good for asthmatic.
No, if you just have, like I said, if you have it in the household and it's just passive smoking, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not really going to get agarbatti and yes, you don't do that. That's fine. Okay. If you're asthmatic, I would advise, it's not called rock salt, is it? Forgot what it's called. Yeah, it's salt, but it's from Pakistan. I'll tell you about it. You can get this salt. You get lumps made out of them. Yeah, it's like Himalayan salt. Yeah, but you can buy it from Pakistan. Do you have Pakistan? I think has one of the largest salt mines, which the salt is meant to be really good for. Yeah. Okay. It helps a lot, really. Big deal. I know people with asthma who visited the hospital in Pakistan. There's a whole hospital in Pakistan built by these rock salts. Yes, even the rooms, everything. This is made of that rock salt, and they stay there for about a week or so, and then it clears the asthma out. But anyway, he can't passive smoking in that sense is fine for him. Okay, what was your question? Toothpaste. Toothpaste, as long as you do not swallow any single bit of it, then you're fine. Okay. Best way to do it is that when you do suhoor, brush your teeth. Okay. And be a bit cheeky and try not to wash the brush. Okay. As in, just don't wash it thoroughly like you do. Just rinse it out slightly, which leaves some of the paste on it. Cover it up, and when you wake up in the morning, yeah, and that way you don't have to put a lot of paste in to say that you've got a lot of flavor and things like this in there. Yeah, so do it that way, or use miswak. Okay. Next chapter is to do with those things which break the fast. Yes, make kafara wajib and also qaza. First of all, with qaza, any fast that you break, that's qaza on it. Simple. Yes. The kafara is like the different bit that which fast bring about kafara and which don't. Okay. But easy, simple rule is, if you break your fast intentionally, in any case, intentionally, then what happens is kafara will come upon you. Kafara will come upon you. If it's broken mistakenly, then there is no kafara. That's the only difference. Yes. So if you've done something intentionally, that will break fast. Yes, with kafara, with qaza. If you've broken it mistakenly, there will be only qaza. Yeah, no kafara. So he said there are 22 things. If you can go through all of them, we can. He said that if a person does these intentionally without being forced, then qaza and kafara is necessary. Yes, like he says that sexual intercourse intentionally whilst fasting will break the fast, make qaza wajib, and bring kafara. What the kafara is, we're going to tell you at the end of this. Okay. Eating and drinking intentionally, doesn't matter if you're going to have a full meal with it, yes, or doing a pastime with it, or using it as medicine. Yes, as long as you've eaten it intentionally, then this breaks your fast, and kafara will be necessary with qaza. Swallowing the rain which has entered your mouth, but swallowing it intentionally, that will break your fast. Kafara comes, qaza is necessary. Eating raw meat, this will also bring about kafara, break your fast, bring about kafara, and make qaza farz. Okay. One scenario, if the meat has worms on it, that's been left out for so long that it's grown worms, then if you eat it intentionally, it won't break your fast. It will break your fast, kafara won't be necessary. Okay, qaza will be. Yes. Look at here. Another thing you have to look at as well, if you eat something intentionally, but it's something that people eat. Yes, it's the norm to eat something like that, then kafara will come. But if it's something that is not the norm to eat, eating meat infested with worms is not the norm, is it? Yes. So it'll break your fast, but it won't bring about the kafara. For example, eating the bark of a tree. Nobody eats the bark of a tree, do they? It'll break the fast, no kafara, because these things are not eaten. Eating stones will break the fast, but not bring kafara because it's not the norm. That's a slight difference as well. Eating fat. The white thing that comes on your body. Yes. Eating that, this will also break your fast, bring kafara, and make qaza necessary. Why? Even though in Pakistani side we don't really eat it, because we chop it all off. Yes. In the Arab lands, they chop it all off and cook it separately, don't they? They ferment it as well, but they cook it separately as well. And if I remember correctly, majority of that junk that they throw away, the fat, yeah, doner meat is made out of it, isn't it? Yeah, so you do eat it anyway. Okay. Dry meat. Now, dry meat is meat that the Arabs will just leave out in the sun and just let it cook for itself. Okay, in the desert, just leave it out in the sun and it just cook itself. Yes, just turn it over from time to time, and that's it. That's what is dry meat, meaning no water is added to it, nothing is just cooked by the sun, and then the Arabs would eat it. The Prophet ﷺ says, I am from the people who eat dry meat. Yes? Not raw meat, dry meat. So the Prophet used to say like this. So this will break the fast. Eating wheat, the seed of it. Yes? Because it's eaten as well. This will break your fast. Similarly, if it's crushed, this will break your fast. Yes. Like we said previously, if it's such that you put in your mouth and it just melted away in your mouth, then in this case it won't break your fast. But in all of these fast breaks, kafara comes, qaza is necessary. Swallowing the sesame seed, yes, intentionally breaks fast, brings kafara, and qaza is necessary from outside of the mouth. He's saying Armani. Who's got the translation? I just said Armani. Yes? Yes, soil. I was going to say Armenian soil, but it doesn't sound right. Armani. You can look at it this way. Sisters will know better with this. They tend to have a craving for it when they're expecting a child. Okay, the white soil. Yes. It's that basically. Okay. Chalk. Yes. Chalk and things like this. This is slightly different to chalk. Okay. But it's something that is eaten by women. Okay. If it's a habit of eating it, even if it's not a habit of eating it, this Armani type of soil will break the fast, bring kafara, and make qaza necessary. Okay. But if it's a soil like it's got one called tifl, have you translated that? No, just call it tifl. Huh? Dry earth? No. Tifl is the reason we call it tifl as well. Tifl means child, really. But you might see children sometimes, they don't just pick up soil and start eating it, do they? Yes? If you ever see a child who has a habit of eating soil, he will be looking for something. Yes? And they say children have an eye for a certain type of soil within soil. Yes? So then they're kind of picking it. Yes? And they'll eat it. Okay. If it's that type of soil, and a person has a habit of eating it, then in this case, it will break the fast, bring kafara as well. Eating salt in a small amount, this will break the fast, bring kafara, and make qaza necessary. Why small amount? Nobody eats a lot of salt, do they? Yes? You don't exactly get a plate full of salt and put salan in it, do you? Huh? It never happens, does it? I was at a khatam once, and the chef, it was a matam, and the people kept coming in and out, and they were eating. And the chef, it was quite a long time ago, where the people used to cook the food themselves. So this chef was like the household chef. And he was cooking the food, and whoever came and ate and always said to him that the salt is less. Yes. So what the people who were serving the guests, what they did was they got those white plates, those that you eat in, the disposable ones. They put salt in that. Yes. And they had them out in where the people were sat. So every person that came was just asking for salt. So they left the salt there. And people had eaten, the cook came, and he was fuming because they kept complaining about his cooking. So he sat down and he picked up a plate, the disposable plate, but he didn't realize they had salt in it. It was a full plate of salt. He put salt all into his plate, and then for about, I would say 15 minutes from what I remember, he had a tantrum saying that people have been complaining there's no salt in it. I can't bear the salt. Yes. So, but the point was he put it in that plate and he couldn't see it really. The salt was white, the plate's white. So yeah, nobody eats salt in a huge amount. It's not bearable, is it? Yes. So the habit is a small amount. It breaks the fast, it brings kafara, and it makes qaza necessary. The next one might sound odd. Husband and wife to swallow each other's saliva. Okay, your friend's saliva, not other than these two. I've allowed children in that as well, your own children. Okay, because these things are generally done. And obviously, it just doesn't mean that he spat out something or your wife spat out something. You just go to the ground and pick it up. It obviously doesn't mean that. It's sometimes like something's happened or you got a pen. Pens are the basic criminals in this. Yes, you got a pen. It goes in the mouth. Yeah, people have habits. Yes, you pass the pen to your wife or your husband. Yes, he's got saliva on it, hasn't it? And then the other person puts it in his mouth. Yes, but obviously because you're close to each other, yes, you don't mind it. Yes, it doesn't feel disgusting. Obviously, if a third person came in and he did that to your pen, you'll be fuming, right? Don't put it in your mouth. So in that case, obviously because you're close, then if the transfer of saliva will break your fast if you swallow it. That is, okay. If you swallow the saliva, it will break your fast. Okay. We'll stop there and read namaz, inshallah. Then we come back. The next issue is kind of simple, which is that he says, if a person eats intentionally after backbiting, after cupping, after touching his wife, after lying down with his wife, after putting oil on his mustache, but he thinks that these things break the fast. Yes, for whatever reason, he thinks that doing these things breaks the fast. After doing them, what did he do? He ate. Now this will break the fast as well. This will break the fast and bring kafara and make qaza necessary. If he did this because a mufti told him that it does break that these things do break the fast, yes, or he heard a hadith regarding these things but didn't understand the true meaning of that hadith, okay? And because of that he thought his fast is broken and now he can eat and drink, then in this case there won't be kafara because it's due to misunderstanding. If he understands it, then kafara will be necessary. Meaning he knew the true meaning of the hadith, that when the Prophet said regarding ghiba or regarding cupping, that these break the fast. Obviously we have a different approach to the hadith. He knows the true interpretation of it, but yet he still eats after committing these things, then in this case kafara will be necessary. Okay. What is the kafara? Kafara is simple really. Kafara is, first of all, to free a slave. Okay. To free a slave. You have to buy a slave and free a slave. So how are you going to fulfill that? Can you? You sure?
Most countries.
Huh? What if I told you the slave trade existed in the UK? Huh? Doesn't it? Yes. In Pakistan? Yes. It exists. So slavery hasn't really been demolished, so to speak. I mean, at the least you are the slaves of the system. So buy yourselves. Generally you can't, because we don't have access to kind of that, and it's illegal to do it anyway. So if you did find a slave, yes, it'll be illegal for you to buy that slave. Okay, so you don't want to be doing something illegal. So that's a no-go area then, isn't it? Obviously we can't do that. Then the next stage would be to fast 2 months continuously. The particular word in bold and in italic and underlined is continuously here. 2 months continuously. Continuously means without a break. So the day of Eid should not be there, the day of Ayyam Tashriq, the days of Hajj, they should not be in between them as well, because you can't fast in those days. What continuously means is that if you fasted, let's say 59 fasts, and for some reason you couldn't keep the 60th fast. Yes? For whatever reason you missed it, you have to start all over again. Okay? So that's the meaning of continuous fast. That's the worth of breaking your fast. If you break one fast, that's the penalty you have to pay. If a person doesn't have the strength to do that, as in he can't fast, he doesn't have the strength to fast, then after this, is if you can't do that, then feed 60 poor people, 60 faqirs. That can either be 60 faqirs in one day, or you can do one faqir for 60 days. Yes? So one faqir for 60 days, for 60 days you feed him 2 meals a day. Or you just go out, gather 60 faqirs and just give them 2 meals in one day. Okay? In terms of the meals, it's up to you how you really want to give them it. Yeah? You can give them breakfast and dinner, day and night. You can give them 2 breakfasts. Yes? You can give them 2 dinners. You can give them a dinner and give them sahri. Yes? That's up to you, entirely up to you. Okay? I mean, if you want to give them 2 Rajas chicken and chip boxes, then that's fine as well. Okay? That kind of covers it, doesn't it? Yes? The price of each fast we've already told you. Yes? As in the back we told you that we said you give half a sa, which we rounded off to like 3 or 4 pounds, didn't we? And if you want to be generous, 5 pounds. Yes. So you have to feed him 60 meals or 60 faqirs, 2 meals. Yes. So just round it off to 6 pounds. Yes. Same as fitrana. Yes. Round it off. Meaning a meal, isn't it? I mean, if you want to really be, what can you call it? Uptight, then 2 pound chicken and chips from the other Rajas though. The blue one. Okay. That one is 2 pound, isn't it? The meal deal. And the other one I think is 350 or something, isn't it? Yeah. The grill one. I'm advertising now. It just to give you an idea of kind of meal that you can give. Now, it has to be the norm of the area, by the way. You don't want to take a Raj's chicken and chips and go give it in Pakistan somewhere. They're not going to eat it. So it has to be the norm of your area. If people are, akin to eating, UK burgers, yes, you can buy one, get one free.
Can I give money instead?
You can give money, yeah. There's no doubt regarding. You can give money. The same as fitrana basically, but you have to provide 2 meals. Yeah, fitrana covers 1 meal. Yes. So just round it off to, if you want to be so, then 4 pound. Yes. 4 pound at the least. Give that to each fakir. That's fine. So that's that. One kafara is sufficient for breaking numerous types of fasts. Remember, kafara only comes for the month of Ramadan, doesn't it? Yeah. For first fast. Other kafara does not come. Even for qaza, kafara won't come. It's only for the month of Ramadan. Nafli fast, sunnah fast, they don't have kafaras. For them, it's just qaza. You break it, you just do qaza of it. So let's say in Ramadan, you've broken intentionally 5 or 6 fasts. Yes. Then in this case, you only do 1 kafara. Yes. From what we told you, that's 1 kafara, isn't it? Either free a slave, or then move on to the next stage is fast 2 months continue. If you can't do that, then feed 60 poor people. Yes. But it suffice for many fasts. If a person has broken fasts which bring about kafara for 2 Ramadan, yes, meaning last year's Ramadan and this year's Ramadan as well, he's broken fast which broke about kafara. Yes? And now he's decided to give the kafara after 2 Ramadans. Yes? 1 kafara will be sufficient. Okay? But if a person breaks 1 Ramadan's fast, gives kafara, now the next Ramadan has come and he's doing the same thing again. Yes? He has to give another kafara this time.
Delay your kafara.
And delay your kafara. I mean, you should try not to delay it, because according to Imam Shafi, you'll have to pay penalty. According to us, there is no penalty. Those things that do not bring kafara now, and he's mentioned about 57. For a person who's fasting, to eat raw rice. Yes? You don't eat it like chane, do you? Do you? No. You don't just pick up rice, chawal and start biting on it. They hurt your teeth, don't they? They be hard, don't they? Yes? I mean, you might eat 1 or 2 and that's it, is left out. Maybe just to have something in your mouth, maybe, I don't know. But generally, as a pastime, in the place of grapes, you don't put rice there. You don't do that. So it's not a pastime. You don't eat stuff like this as a pastime. Or dough, the atta that you make. Yes, you don't exactly just take it out of the plate without cooking it and start eating it. Do you do that? Do you? Okay, just in case. So these things they break the fast, but because they're not the norm of what people eat, they won't bring about kafara. So kafara only comes with those things which are the norm. Eating a huge amount of salt, yes, in one go. Again, it's not the norm, is it? Is it the norm? No, it's not the norm. So then in this case, it will break the fast, no kafara. Eating soil, but such soil which is not habitual, that you don't generally eat. Okay? Then in this case, this breaks the fast, no kafara, qaza is necessary. Qaza is always necessary, okay, when you break a fast. The seed that comes inside the date, yes, to swallow that, to eat that. This will break your fast, but won't bring the kafara. Why? You don't eat it, do you? What about the watermelon seeds? Huh? Yeah, they eat it. I mean, I eat them. When we were kids, they used to tell us to take them out, or the plant will grow in your stomach. But they're a bit of a mission to. Yeah. It's meant to be like finger food. They just pick up and eat. But if you eat something like that, the seed of a watermelon, you call it damana. Yes. If you eat that, then that will break your fast and bring kafara. Yes. That will break your fast and bring kafara. At least it will bring kafara for me, because I eat them. Okay. I mean, I look at it this way, that God made this fruit and He scattered the seeds everywhere in this fruit, yes, which is a sign He wanted me to eat them.
Why the lighter color doesn't have black seeds in it?
Huh?
The lighter color,
Yes,
that doesn't have black
it has white ones in it. Yes.
seeds. Or maybe they're edible.
So this will break your fast. What about the other one? The melon? They're not eaten. But I don't eat many. They always take it out, don't they? Because that's all in the middle. Yes? I know people might eat them, but I'm just going to be cautious with this. But it will definitely break your fast if you eat them. But I would say kafara will not come upon them, because they're generally not eaten. Okay? So it's about the norm. Next one is paper. Yes? People don't eat papers for fun. Do they? Okay. So in this case, it'll break your fast but not bring kafara. If I get this right, safarjal was a quince. Yes? It looks like a lemon. a lemon type of, I don't know if it's a fruit or a vegetable, but it is cooked. It is cooked. If you eat this without cooking it, then it will break your fast but not bring kafara. Why? Because this is generally eaten when it is cooked. Jawza, either a hazelnut, if that what it's called, or is it called a walnut? Yes, one or the other, they're both cousins. Okay. If you eat them, obviously it says moist here. My mind goes towards that fresh. It goes towards like a walnut as opposed to the hazelnut. Sort of a walnut which is more or less fresh. Then in this case, this will break the fast but not bring kafara. Okay? Because normally you eat this fruit, not fruits rather, this food, this nut, when it is dried out. Okay?
When is someone excused to fast the 2 months for kafara? Is it a choice to either do the fast or keep the full?
There's no choice. Yes, if you have the strength to do the 2 months fasting, you have to. Okay? There's no choice. Swallowing stones, eating stones. We'll tell you here, normally when you travel, we say that you don't have to fast, okay? But it's a bit of a condition that you have to travel before Sari. If you travel before Sari and you're in your fast, then you don't have to fast. Yes? But if you're going to travel like 12 o'clock during the day, if you're at home at Sari time, then aren't you? You have to keep a fast then. So not keeping the fast, some ulama say is completely haram. You can't do that. I've read some ulama who say that you can, yes, meaning you just waiver it, but it won't come under the leave though. Yes. Now, but let's say you kept the fast, but now you know I've got a journey, I'm walking straight through the Sahara Desert. Yes, no way I can fast. Now, you're fasting though, so what do? Huh? Eat a UK burger and then go on a journey. What will happen if you did that? Kafara will come, wouldn't it? Yeah. Yes? So when you have the leave, you still have to do qaza, don't you? So eat a few stones, okay? Or eat some metal, like it's got hadid here. Eat some soil. Soil is not eaten, just soil off the ground. The first one you could say pebbles, small little pebbles, and this one is a stone, okay? Or like a bark of a tree. Yes? There are certain barks of trees you will eat. I don't eat them. They put in the andi sometimes, they put them in rice as well. What they call? Cinnamon. Okay? If it's something like that, that will bring kafara. Yes? How do people eat it though? I don't know. Is it just like the taste of it? When it comes in your mouth, you just want to spit it out. You're not supposed to eat it, alright? I'm doing it all wrong.
It's quite nice actually. It's quite a spicy taste to it.
It is. I wouldn't say nice, but very spicy taste.
It's an acquired taste.
Yes. Someone gave me something last time. Have you heard of Tura? They call it Tura. Like they give you those herbal medicines, powder. Somebody gave me that, and he said it had cinnamon in it, but I think it had 1,000 other things in it as well. But it soiled my stomach out. That's the one effect that it had. So these things, obviously, you can eat them. We're not saying you take a whole stone and start eating and say you have to finish it. No, just a small bit, take it. It's a loophole in the Shariat. What will happen is you'll break your fast, but no kafara will come. Yes? You're already going to make up the fast because you're going to go on a journey. Yes? So then in this case, it's a nice way of breaking it. At least no kafara will come upon you. He says hukna. Okay, hukna, and after he says putting water in your nose. Hukna. Has he translated hukna? What's he got? Huh? Halima? I don't know what that means. Anyway, I'll tell you what is, but I'll use it for how vets do it. Yes, when a cow or an animal has a problem in its stomach or something, or is having a few problems relieving itself, then they just bring out a yellow glove and yes. So it's still practiced by the NHS, by the way, in the UK. I mean, if you have Qabzi, then they still practice it in the NHS. So if something like this is done, it'll definitely break your fast. This is one of those reasons we also say that when you're fasting, be careful doing istinja. Okay, that's something we have to say because we always get people coming up to us and asking us these questions. So it's better to answer them and feel a bit shy than not answer it at all. Placing water in your nose, okay, into your throat, putting water into your ears, oil into your ears, okay, or water. He says this will break the fast. But the tahqiq is if your ears are popped, yes, if your ears are popped, there's a hole in your ears. And you have to be careful sometimes because I'm not sure about the elder generation, but nowadays now a lot of children get glue ears. Yes, behind the eardrum they get water, and then the ears sticks the eardrum stick to the water, and then they can't hear. It's kind of painful as well. So they have this procedure where they drill straight through, not drill, but they puncture the eardrum to let that liquid out. Yes. From what I remember reading up on it was that it stays, it remains. They'll take it out, the thing that they place in, but it never fully heals, so the hole is always there. If your ears are like that, then in that case, water will go straight down into your throat. Okay, and if your ears are intact, then they will not. Okay? So you have to go through your medical records. Okay? My daughter has the glue ear, but I never got the operation done on her in terms of having that hole. It's safe operation, but I just didn't want to do it. The reason for that is, if you have a read upon it, as they grow up, the canal behind the eardrum, it widens anyway, and the water then channels its way down into the throat anyway. Yes, so it just is a natural thing. Even adults have it, where natural water within inside the body, it clears that canal out. But for children, because the canal is small, yes, the water gets blocked. Yes, but as they get older, it channels down, so there's no real need for you to rush children into getting that operation done on their ears. Just wait till they're about 7, 8, 9. Yes, if they still have the problem, then it's to do a scan and then see what the problem is with them. The next thing he says is, a person has a stomach wound, a head wound, where you can see the skull, or any type of wound which is going straight into the body. If you put medicine on it, then in this case it will break your fast. Okay. On this I'll answer as well that I believe all types of injections break your fast. Oof. That's my take on it. Yes. There are 3 madhabs altogether. How many? The first madhab is that no type of injection breaks your fast. Yeah. The second madhab is that the injections which are like muscular injections, that just remain in your muscles, they are those that do not break the fast. But if it's an injection which, like glucose injections, and I don't know if insulation comes into it, but does insulation give you strength? It does, doesn't it? Yes. If it's something like that, then it'll break your fast. That's the second madhab. The third madhab is what I follow, that all types of injections break your fast. Okay. And in this again, one of my favorite authors, Maulana Ghulam Rasul Sayyidi Sahib Rahimahullah Ta'ala, has done a good tahqiq on this in Sharh Muslim. You're going to say to me, I always quote this book. How big is this book? Yes. If I remember correctly, it's about 7 volumes. Yes, 6 or 7 volumes. Each volume is about that thick. And I literally mean it that thick, right? And the pages are like tracing paper. Yes. And the writing is like that small on it. Okay. Each volume has over 1,000 pages on it. Yeah? And there are no drawings in it as well. Okay. It's the Sahih Muslim. He just translates the hadith, and wherever he sees fit, he adds his research in it. And he's authenticated that all types of injections break your fast. Why? It's simple. The Fuqaha said, anything that enters the body breaks your fast. Yes? Simple, isn't it? What's that? No, that's taken out, that's extracting. Anything coming out of the body, in terms of extracting something, that does not break the fast. Yeah? Anything going into the body in terms of something that is entering the body. Yes? But anything that's coming out, that does not. Okay? If a person eats yes, but it just enters his mouth mistakenly, it just goes straight down, this will break the fast. And he didn't swallow it by intentionally. If a person was gargling at wuzu time, or even just generally just gargling, and then water went straight into his stomach, unintentionally, this break fast, no kafara. If a lady fears that she will become really ill because she has to serve a husband, yes, she has to serve a husband, then in this case, she can break her fast. Okay? Have I got that right? Or somebody was sleeping and then they poured water into his mouth. This will break his fast. But there's no kafara in these situations. For a person to eat intentionally after he ate forgetfully, woke up in the morning, had orange juice, yes, and picked up an apple, bit on it once and said, I'm sure I was fasting, and then bit on it again. Okay? Then in this case, the second bite will definitely break your fast. Yes? But no kafara here because there's a sense of confusion. And then the rest of the scenarios that we have mentioned. If a person, he says that the other masla, I mentioned it previously, so we've gone over that. If a person breaks his fast thinking that the sunnah set, yet the sunnah hasn't set, that will break his fast as well. But no kafara. Yes? You know those time you're looking at the watch, 59 or something. Yes? I think it's, what is it going to be this year? About 9 o'clock? Yes? Roughly? 9 o'clock, is it 9 o'clock? Then you break your fast according to your clock. Then you pick up your phone and it's 8:30. Yes? You've broken your fast. Okay? No kafara though. No kafara. Because of confusion. And then he's got some things in there which break the fast, okay, that he's mentioned. You can read up on them.
Someone asked a question today, what about smear tests? Do they?
Smear test. It wouldn't. Okay. Smear tests wouldn't. Okay. Because it's only a swipe, isn't it? Yes? And that's it. And they don't reinsert it, do they? Huh? I mean, the sisters will know better, but I'm not sure if they reinsert it. But generally, I'm guessing that it's only a swipe and that's it. It's over and done with. So in that case, it will not break the fast in that case. Okay? And the condition is that whatever they insert should not be moist. Okay? And there are a few things in there as well which you can read up on in regards to those things that break the fast, but there's no kafara on them. I mentioned the vomiting one, if it's less than a mouthful. I think I mentioned before that the vomiting less than a mouthful doesn't break the fast, but it breaks the fast. Okay, so let's have a look at that masla again. That if you vomit intentionally, if you vomit unintentionally, as in natural, then in this case, any amount of vomit does not break the fast. If you vomit with a mouthful intentionally, this brings about kafara. If you vomit less than a mouthful, this breaks your fast, no kafara. Okay. To eat something between your teeth which is less than, and it's the size of a chickpea, okay, then this will break your fast. And like that, all the way down here, you can read upon that break the fast. But the general rule is the same as we said in the past. Also, people who have broken their fasts, or they're not fasting for whatever reason, then we say that it's still necessary upon them to not eat. Okay, as in still observe the day. So sisters might be in hayz or nifas, then just have honor for the day and don't eat. Okay, don't eat because of it. But obviously, if you have to eat to keep up the energy, whatever, then that is fine. I would say here as a leeway is that just don't eat publicly. Okay, it's just unfortunate in this day and age that we find that people will still eat publicly, yes, especially in Bradford, and it seems to be worse in, I don't know, maybe we don't notice it throughout the year because we're probably eating ourselves, but when in Ramadan, if you ever go to the town centre, you see a lot of women eating. Okay, so in that case, you should just be careful, have honor for the day. Yes, that's a great honor for the day. As you know, even in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, even the Jews used to honor the days of Ramadan. Yes, that the Muslims were fasting, then the Jews would not even openly eat. Yes, so they would eat in secret in their homes or whatever, but they wouldn't openly eat in front of Muslims. Yeah, just to have honor for them and for the day. So we should at least observe that. So that's that. Qaza is upon everyone except the child who became mature on that day, or a kafir accepted Islam. Kafir accepted Islam. So the day the child became mature, obviously missed that fast, doesn't he? Yeah, so he doesn't have to do qaza of it. The kafir who accepted Islam on the day the day which he was a fast day in Ramadan, for example, the day he accepted Islam, he doesn't have to do qaza of that fast. The next chapter is to do with those things which are makruh for a person who's fasting, and those things which are not makruh, and those things which are mustahab. 7 things which are makruh. Tasting something or anything, having a little taste, yes, this will break, this is makruh. It won't break it because it hasn't entered the body. Chewing on something without any excuse, this is makruh. It says chewing rubber, and I translate this as rubber. The reason is it was like chewing gum, but not chewing gum as well. It was like a rubber substance, but had no flavor to it. Generally, you find that in books that students used to eat this. As you know that sometimes chewing something while studying, not in class though, it's bad habit chewing in class. Yes, but while you're sat at home, if you bite something, yes, it's meant to be good for thinking and for your brain. Keeps it sharp while you're studying at home. So the students used to have a habit of biting on rubber, something rubber. But rubber is something that it has no flavor. Yes, it has no moisture that it can bring out. Yes, so you're not really eating it and you're not swallowing any flavor from it. Yeah? So this is what this means. Some people use this and say that you can eat chewing gum. Yes, there's a world of a difference between chewing gum and ilk. Okay, what's the difference? Taste. Yes, the ilk is just one thing, one substance. Whereas the chewing gum that we have in our day and age, they're combinations of lots of things, aren't they? Yes? And they have taste, flavors, chemicals, and God knows what, and then we eat them. I read one fatwa once, it said chewing gums are haram to eat. Okay? It came from India. And a Sunni scholar as well. It was a Sunni scholar. It was actually from Breli Sharif. I won't mention the person's name.
Pakistan won't be happy about that with the dingoes.
What the person said was that it's haram, and the dalil that they used is the saliva that comes to your mouth, yes, once it's out of your mouth, yes, he was classing it as impure for some reason, and I don't know where he got his evidence from, but he classed it as impure, so he was saying this was one of his proofs that when it goes onto the chewing gum, then you're eating something impure. Okay, so that's why he said it's haram. Okay. And he had various others as well, but I don't think anybody accepted his call. I think Taj al-Sharia also refuted him then on that position in regards to chewing gum. But wallahu alam where he really got it from. He must have been hallucinating. Okay. He's not a well-known mufti. I'm sure he's from Breli Sharif, but he's not a well-known mufti in regards to the rest of the world. So when I think Taj al-Sharia refuted him, he became well known after that. Next thing is qubla and mubashara, yes, kissing and things like this. With these things is that if a person has security, yes, that he won't end up breaking his fast, then these things are not makruh. And if he has a fear that it will break his fast, meaning he'll end up doing something that he shouldn't be doing, then in this case it is makruh to do this. To gather the saliva in the mouth and then swallowing it, we mentioned that is makruh to do. And to do anything which a person feels will weaken him with fasting. So while a person is fasting, anything that he feels that will weaken him to do something like that is makruh as well. Cooking.
Sports, possibly?
Sports, yes. Sports. Can't do that.
Cooking.
You cook. I don't know, some sisters can answer that. Danish would know building. Huh? Can do it now. We did it last year. Yeah, were we putting the bricks on? Yeah. Yeah, we were building last year in Ramadan. It was. Did we get the whole building? We did the roof as well, didn't we? Yeah, we put the roof on as well. Subhanallah, we did quite a bit last Ramadan. Sorry, we're making a building somewhere. It's in my back garden actually, but it's kind of a sizable building. But we built it ourselves, and we worked through Ramadan. We only work on Sundays though. It was just a little project we had, just to keep us fit. So we built it from scratch, I think, yeah. And then we laid the breeze blocks, didn't we? And then the joists were hard, and then the roof. Did we start the plasterboards? They were hard. We did most of it in Ramadan. I don't think we worked like that after that again. So yeah, it's not that hard actually. I was going to say building maybe is hard, but it's not that hard in terms of UK weather. But in Pakistan, it's very, very hard. Yeah. I went to Pakistan 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years now. 5 years ago, I went in the month of Ramadan, and it was really, really hot. And I watched a few workers there building, and it's very, very tough. Yeah. But what they do is they'll get towels and soak them through, yes, and place it on top of the heads, and they'll carry on building. And it's a nice sight to see though, because while they are building, the smoke coming off the heads, but they carry on. Tough people, inshallah. which is good. And in Morocco, everybody just has a day off, a month off, don't they? Yeah. When I was in Morocco for Ramadan a couple of years ago, Rabat was a dead city. It's a capital city, but you wouldn't probably find an ant on the road. That's how completely quiet it was. I mean, towards the old city, there was a bit of a hustle bustle there, but like in the new city, it was completely like a ghost town. So maybe, what's that? Yeah, nap. No, I mean, in the nice days to come out, but I think because Rabat was a capital city and majority of the people that lived there in the new city anyway, they were people that come from outside, as in cities like London. You generally get people from outside, and then when a holiday comes, then they just return back to their hometowns. So truth was, other than the hotel workers that were there, the rest of the city was completely dead. And you just to even get a taxi was very, very tough. You might just spot the odd taxi and he'll give you a lift. Okay. So that's that. There are 9 things which he mentions which are not makruh. Like we said, if a person has security that he won't break his fast, then for him to be with his wife, whatever, this is all permissible. For a man to oil his moustache, yes, this is a reoccurring theme, isn't it? I mean, maybe in his time they were keen maybe on oiling the moustaches. Anyway, the truth is just because of a narration which Imam Shafi had regarding oiling the beard and the moustache, and that narration said that it will break the fast. That's why it's a reoccurring theme. Okay. Kohal. What's the English term for kohal? Anybody know? Eyeliner. Subhanallah, that's a bad translation. It's not eyeliner. We had a word for it. You'll have to check the. When I did the Shmail al-Tirmidhi, we had what's that? Kajal, no. Kohal. Are you sure? When I did the Shmail al-Tirmidhi course, we had a perfect translation for it in the English language. There is ismid, but the English equivalent of ismid is ismoid. Yes, you can use that as well. Okay, same thing. You also have to check my notes on the Shmail al-Tirmidhi. It might be in some of the translations. Cupping, fasad. Fasad is just the old tradition of cutting your vein, yes, and letting the blood out. Okay. Don't do that at home. Okay. The doctors do it. They just cut. Basically, what they do in at the hospital, where they put the, what do you call it? The syringe. Yes, they put in, and then sometimes they just take bottle after bottle after bottle out. Yes, it's just that basically. But in the olden days, they just cut the vein. Actually, cut the vein, right? Just a little cut, not to kill you, but just a small cut, and it's just drain the blood out. Okay. Obviously, these things are not makruh, but don't try them. Wasiwaku, to brush your teeth at the end of the day, but rather this is sunnat, isn't it? It would definitely not be makruh, even if it's wet, even if it's moist. Antimony, yes, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one. We had that in our Shmail al-Tirmidhi as well. Okay. You should always look up these words. Yes, kohal we say, and then it becomes. And all they enter money. To gargle and place water in your nose without it going down, this does not break your fast. To do ghusl, I mean just having a bath as well. Yes, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. To get a cloth, wet it through, yes, and just cover yourself up with it. That will not break your fast, and it's not makruh. Just to cool down. There are 3 things which are mustahab. Said is mustahab, suhoor. Yes, this is mustahab. To delay it, by delaying we mean that you try to do it right at the end time, just before Fajr. Yes, enough time though for you to eat. Doesn't mean leave 1 minute and then start making your food. Yes, it means have enough time. So it's right at the end of that night. And also to be quick to open your fast. Yes. So as soon as the sun sets, open your fast straight away. Okay. But in a day which is not cloudy, slightly delayed in a day that's cloudy. Yes, because sometimes you can get confused in terms of, but these days we have timings anyway. But I would still say be wary of the timings. Okay. Always open about a minute after or 2 minutes after the timing that's on the calendars as well, just in case. Yes, because these calendars, because you do not try and test them, they tend to go off on certain days. Yes, so always, even for your prayer times, always leave like a couple of minutes for either side. Yes, so if you're reading namaz and you're getting late, then before the beginning time, make sure you always have a couple of minutes before the time that's written. When you're going to start the next prayer, yes, but you want to read it in its beginning time, leave a couple of minutes and read it after the starting of that beginning time. In the next chapter, and you can read up on this, he just talks about for those people who don't have to fast, yes, like people who fear that their illness will increase or their cure will slow down, a pregnant lady, a lady who's giving milk to a child, her own milk to a child, yes, and they fear that they might die from it, then in this case, these people can not fast. They have an excuse not to fast. But the fear that we mean here is fear that they will die. Yes, not just any old fear, a fear that will take them to either terminal illness, or which they could die from, or that they will definitely die from it if they carry on with this. Then in this case, they have the leave to fast. Same thing with the traveler. But for them to fast is better as long as it does not harm them. If a person is traveling and he sees that all of his traveling companions are all fasting, then he should fast if it doesn't harm him. And if he fears that the companions that he's traveling with, they're not fasting, and you've got one pot as well, meaning you put money into one pot that you're going to eat from it, drink from it, whatever. Okay, then in this case, if the rest of them are not fasting, he shouldn't fast as well. Okay, just so that the share of this money is equally given out to everyone. Okay, so then further on he talks about making a will. We talked about that in the previous chapters. But remember one thing, if a person has a chance to make up the fast, then in that case for him to make a will is necessary, the qaza is also necessary upon him. Okay. When making up qaza fast, continuation, i.e. to do the fast one after the other, is not a condition. So let's say you miss 5 fasts of Ramadan. Now when you decide to keep them, you don't have to keep 5 fasts in a row. You can scatter them throughout the whole of the year. A person who's old lady, old man, is permissible for them to not fast, and they can pay fidya. Fidya is same as your fitrana, but it'll be for every single fast that they miss. Yes. So if you evaluate, I'll make life easy here. Remember we worked here last time, not this class, sorry, that was a different class I think. The fitrana would come to about maybe 150, yes? 150, round it off to £2, be generous, okay? £2 per fast, times it by 30, how much is it? 60. So £60 in fasting, yes? £60 for the fasting, give it to the poor, simple.
Is that per day?
Yeah, per fast will be 150, wouldn't it?
No, sorry.
Yes. Per fast will be 150, times it by 30 for the whole month, and then we rounded off to 2, didn't we? So £60. Okay. a person who's got a nafli fast, yes, it's permissible for him to break his fast if he's a guest of somebody or he's hosting somebody. Yes. Rather, in this, there is a blessing as well that he will be rewarded if he does this. Yes. And make up the fast on another day. So you're going to somebody's house, you're fasting, you don't want to break the person's heart. That he knew you were coming and he prepared such a big meal for you, and then you turn around and say, I'm fasting, and then you get him in trouble with his wife. Yeah? You don't want that to happen now. So then in this case, you sacrifice yourself. Okay? Sacrifice your worship, your ibadah, for the sake of your friend. Yes? So you don't want him to be thrown out of the house. So then in this case, what happens, the Prophet ﷺ said that the person who breaks his fast in this manner, the day he breaks the fast, okay, he gets rewarded the fast of 1,000 days. Okay, the day he comes to do qaza of it, yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards him for 2,000 days. How much is that? 3,000. So altogether, for breaking one fast, he gets the reward of 3,000 fasts. Yes? So it's an honor, that, isn't it? So that's that. In between, we've talked about this in the back as well, in regards to vows. Yes? When we did salah, we talked about vows there and what types of vows are necessary to fulfill and which are not necessary to fulfill. You can read up on that chapter, inshallah. It's the same what we mentioned previously in the back. The chapter of itikaf. Okay? Itikaf is simple. Itikaf is to reside in the masjid with intention, but it should be such a masjid in which the 5 daily prayers are read in congregation. But it's generalized. It's more generalized than this. Either the Jamaat is already established in the masjid, before you say itikaf there, throughout the year people are reading namaz in the masjid, there's the imam there, everything. Or it's a masjid, but you have now decided to do Jamaat in there for itikaf. Yes? So for example, there's 5 of you. Yes? So obviously you're going to read Jamaat, aren't you? You're going to, every time namaz time comes, you're going to read, then itikaf is jaiz in that masjid. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yes? It shouldn't be such a masjid that you go in and you're the only person there. Yes? And whoever comes into the masjid, they just read their own prayer and they leave. Then you don't get to read with Jamaat, then do you? Yes? You can't sit in a masjid like that. Okay? If you establish your own Jamaat, that's good. Yes? If you can't, then you can't have itikaf in the masjid. Okay? Itikaf is permissible for women and is jais for women in the masjid of their house. The masjid of their house. And what's the masjid of their house? Any place which they have allocated for prayer in their house. And there should be always one place where you should pray in your house. And that's where you can sit your itikaf. Somebody asked me, is there anything wrong with sisters coming into a masjid or the building of a masjid and sitting itikaf there? There's nothing wrong with it, but it's just not advisable. Okay. Is there anything wrong with sitting itikaf in a field? Okay. These conditions have to be fulfilled. Like in Pakistan, they do that in Pakistan. A certain organization does it, where it's completely packed out, men on one side, women on the other side. Okay. I think it's I went to it. The graveyard, where the mazar of Sheikh Tahir Alauddin, okay, Baghdadi. It's in Lahore. He's buried there. Okay. Whose organization is it, Danish? There you go. Minhajul Quran. Okay. Where the grave is situated just next to it, it's a massive open space, and this is where they do a whole itikaf. Okay. But something like that is also permissible, but for sisters I still say it's not recommended. Yes, in terms of reward, it's not recommended. In the own home, it's more rewardable. Itikaf is upon three types. You have a wajib itikaf, that's only one type, and that is in a vowed itikaf. So you say, if I pass my driving test, I will sit itikaf. Then that becomes wajib upon you. The sunnah itikaf, which is sunnah kifaya, in every masjid that has 5 daily prayers in it, there has to be one person from the community at the least to sit itikaf in the masjid. Yes? Otherwise, this sunnah is not fulfilled, and it's sunnah muqaddah in the last 10 days of Ramadan. And then there is mustahab. The mustahab one is anytime you come into the masjid. Anytime you come into the masjid. The intention, people mix up the intention sometimes. The intention for the month of Ramadan's itikaf is nawaitu sunnat al-itikaf. Okay? The intention for a nafli itikaf is nawaitu litikafa ma dumtu fil masjid. That I intend to do itikaf as long as I am in the masjid. Okay? The sunnat itikaf is only, you only read that is only one type of sunni itikaf. Okay? That is the 10 days of, last 10 days of Ramadan. Other than that is all nafli. The minimum you can do a nafli itikaf for is 1 second. You come into the mosque and go back out. That, for however long you stay in the masjid, that is itikaf. Even if you're just passing through. A person should not leave itikaf except for shari needs. Yes? For example, he's in a masjid, the masjid has 5 daily prayers, but it doesn't cater for Jumu'ah. Now he can go to the Jami masjid for Jumu'ah, that's a shari need. Or because of natural needs, he needs to relieve himself. Or because of a necessity, the masjid is in need, he's in, is about to fall down. Yes? Now he needs to get out, doesn't he? Yeah? So in that case he can get out. Or transgressors, zalim people come in, some committee members, and say you can't sit itikaf here, and they grab you and throw you back out. Now in that case, obviously you have to leave the masjid in that case. Or what's happened is that people have tried to cause disturbances with his family and they've separated them. Yes, he can leave for that cause as well. Or he has fear upon himself that he might get kidnapped or his luggage might get taken, stolen. Then in this case he can, by protesters and stuff like this. Then what he should do is come out one masjid and enter another masjid straight away. Yeah, he can go for food and things. That comes under need, doesn't it? That's his natural needs. If a person leaves the masjid for even 1 second without a need, then in this case, this will break his wajib. This will break his wajib itikaf. Okay? As for any other type of itikaf, it ends it. Yes? There's a difference in it. The wajib itikaf, you need to do qaza of it. Any other type of itikaf, you don't need to do qaza of it. That makes sense? So this is why he made a difference in wording. He said the wajib itikaf is invalidated and the rest of the itikafs are finished, as in they ended. Okay. For a mu'takif, the person who's sitting itikaf, for him to eat, drink, sleep, even contract a transaction with somebody, but without the product being present. So you can pay him, but the product should not be present. In the masjid, this is all permissible. To make the product present, you're buying a bag of rice, 25 kg. Yes, you can do it verbally. Say, look, you're the shopkeeper. Here's the money. Just drop it off to my house. My family needs the rice. Yes, that's fine. He can drop it off whenever he can. Yes, what's makruh is that he brings the bag of rice in the masjid and drops it off to you. Yes, and then you give him the money. That's makruh to do. We had a discussion on this as well. Online, not trading, but when you buy online shopping. Yes, this is fine. Yes, there have to be your needs though, as in you need to buy something for family. The product's not present, is it? Yes, so you can do online shopping in that regards when you have to though. You can order a takeaway. What was the thing called? Just Eat. Yes, Just Eat. You can sign itikaf and order Just Eat. You can do that. Yes, that's food, isn't it? So and you can eat in the masjid. The next thing he says that it is makruh to remain silent in the masjid with the belief that it's worship. The reason it's makruh according to us is because it's not the way of the Muslims to stay silent. Okay? It's not the way of the Muslims to stay silent. Why? Because we do not believe that being silent is worship. Remaining silent is not worship. Okay? You do not get rewarded for staying silent. Okay? You get rewarded for what's going on in your heart. Yes? But not staying silent. Similar with food. You know, say sit quiet, don't talk. Khane wala nahi boli na. Okay? Then in this case as well, that's not an Islamic tradition, by the way. Okay? It's not an Islamic tradition. The Islamic tradition is what he said here, that remain silent is makruh for a person to remain silent, believing that he thinks that it's worship, and it's makruh to talk except with goodness. Yes? So the Islamic principle is that it's disliked to talk while over food when you're not talking about anything good. Yes? If it's something good, then talk all you like. Yes? Asking your parents or your brothers and sisters how their day has been is something good. Yes? If it's backbiting and things like this, then that's bad, isn't it? Yes? Asking your parents' health, how they've been, or what's been going on in the family, and even down to solving a matter. There might have been a bit of a feud in the family, and now you sat down, you're talking, and you're just trying to settle it in a nice manner. There's nothing wrong with that. Yes, certain issues that you might have in terms of bills or whatever, and who's going to pay them. Yes, so you can solve them at the table. That's something good, isn't it? Yes, it's backbiting and things like this that we do not have. The reason it's makruh not to stay silent at food is the main reason is because the way of the fire worshippers. You'll see that Hindus do that. Yes, Hindus do it, and also fire worshippers were known to do this. When food came, because it was cooked by the fire, cooked by their god, okay, so then they would sit there and eat it in complete silence. Complete silence. They would sit and eat the food, and they're not allowed to talk. But what? They would say that this is worship. This is worship. And it's not worship according to us. Okay? It's not worship according to us. So we don't do that. You have a nice talk, good talk about Islam, talk about other things. Okay? When we say good, it's not always Islamically related. Even though everything is Islamically related, even when you talk about family, still Islamically related. But in this day and age, people tend to make differences between them. But what I'm trying to explain to you is that it can still come under good. Yes? There is still goodness. Yeah? The house needs repairing, and you're talking about how to repair it. Yes? So that's goodness. Yes? It's nothing bad, is it? Yes? So goodness means here things which are mubah. Yes? So that's very common. And if it's things which are rewardable, then definitely talk about them. Yes? That's that. Where have we gone? Yeah. And then he talks about things which are kind of haram in itikaf, sexual intercourse, those things that call towards it. And if a person does this, then his itikaf will be void in them. Then he talks about if a person vows, and you can look upon that as well. If a person vows to do itikaf, yes, then this comes with the night as well. This comes with the night. Now, if a person intends to do it, he makes a vow that he will do itikaf for a whole month. If he makes it generalized, then in this case, it'll come with the nights and the days. But if he says, no, I only meant the days, then it's only the days. If he says, I only meant the nights, then it's only the nights. Down to his intention, basically. So he explains all of that. Right towards the end, he says, itikaf is something which is permitted by the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as in when Sayyidina Ibrahim built the Kaaba, yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him to cleanse it. Why? Because the people of itikaf will come. Yes, those who will sit at the masjid, those who will prostrate, and so on and so forth. So that's an indication, isn't there? Yes. And in the Sunnah, definitely is that the Prophet ﷺ sat itikaf, and is well proven that the Prophet sat itikaf in the last 10 days. He says that itikaf is from the most honorable actions that a person can do. But when it's done with sincerity, yes? I mean, if you only sat itikaf because you know there's 10 other people there and you're going to get pizzas to eat every single night, then that's not sincerity, is it? Yes? Or you're going to wake up at Sehri time and you've got your best Sehri. You know, some people come for the Cocoa Pops. Okay? So, these are realities, by the way. Yes. So the point is that when it's done with ikhlas, that you do with ikhlas. You know, when I was slightly younger, nobody knew me in this masjid, because I never lived in this area. I lived in Garintor all my life. So I did itikaf in Hamfia once, and I didn't really kind of enjoy it in terms of it was just too rushed. And I sat itikaf here without a single person knowing me. The only person that knew me was Sheikh Wajid. But other than that, nobody knew me. I was young at that time. And that's the real itikaf, which if you experience it, it will solve a lot of your internal issues. Yes? Because you're completely by yourself. You asking a question? No? Okay. Now, it has to be done with ikhlas. Now, what's the benefits of it? What's the beauty of it? That it frees your heart away from worldly matters. That's the first thing it does, doesn't it? Forget about the dunya. Yes. You give yourself up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You surrender yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you make necessary His worship in His house. That's the only thing you're doing now, aren't you? You're worshipping Him. Read your salah, do zikr after it, read some Quran, always something, do some tasbih. That's all you're doing throughout the whole of the day and night. And then you are also fortifying, i.e. you're seeking protection in the fortress of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, i.e. the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the masjid. Yes? Sayyidina Ata, he was a tabi'i, and I believe he was from Iraq, and one of the students of Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas. He said that the example of the person sitting itikaf is the example of a man who goes to the door, a great door, a big door, a well-known door, just for one need. Just for one need. So, and the mu'takif then says, I will remain here until you forgive me. Until you forgive me. So he says, meaning this is the example of a mu'takif, that you come into the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for 10 days, yeah, but you only got one need. What's that? That's for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you. Forgive all your sins. And He promises that, doesn't He? Yeah? That He says that in these last 10 days, the Prophet said, He frees the people from the hellfire. Yes? And that's a metaphor for forgiveness, isn't it? Yes? That if He said that you're not going to go to the hellfire, then that's forgiveness. Yes? So this is what you have come to here for. Up to now, this is the end of the actual book of Nurul Idah. Okay? The author Imam Shurun Bulali wrote Nurul Idah up to here. Okay? And he finishes it off by saying, هذا ما تيسر للعاجز الحقير بعناية مولاه القوي القدير, that this is what came easy for this weak, low slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the blessing of his master who is strong and all powerful. All praises to Allah, He who guided us towards this book, for us to write this book. وَمَا كُنَّا, and we were not to be guided if it wasn't that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided us. Then he sent salawat upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah sent blessings upon our master, our Sayyidina Mawlana Muhammad, our Master Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the seal of the Anbiya, and upon his family, and upon his companions, and upon his offspring, and those who befriend him. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in a state that we are seeking wasila towards him, that he make this book purely for his rida. He used the word wajah, but we translate as pleasure here, for literally for his honorable face, but obviously that's a metaphor, that for his honored pleasure, and that he grant benefit of this book a huge amount of benefit, and he immensely reward the people with a huge amount of reward. Yes. So he ended Nur-e-Da here. Normally when you do Dars-e-Nizami, we carry on from this as well. Yes, in Dars-e-Nizami we carry on and we read Kitabul Zakat as well, and we go all the way to Kitabul, to the end of Kitabul Hajj. Yes, where he talks about visiting the Prophet. The truth is that's a separate book. He wrote a book after this called Maraqil Falah. Maraqil Falah. What he did was he went back to what you just read now. He went back and he wrote a commentary on it. Because you've seen it was kind of concise, wasn't it? Straight to the point, less words. We had to explain more of the words, didn't we? Yes? And bring out new masail. So he wrote a commentary explaining himself. But when he got to the end of Kitabul Sawm, yes, he decided to add Kitabul Zakat and Kitabul Hajj. But he never wrote it on the method of how he wrote Nur-e-Da. He wrote it on the method of how he wrote Maraqil Falah, in terms of its self-explanatory. As in the next section really, there's no detail. There is detail, but it's all there. We don't have to explain everything. As you just read it and you will catch on what he's saying. He's actually explaining himself as he goes along. He mentions the word, he explains what it is. Yes, in terms of a commentary. We are going to go into it, but the problem is you lot don't have it in your books. Okay, your English translation doesn't, from my knowledge, doesn't have it in. Okay, it doesn't have it. Either the Kitabul Zakat or Kitabul Hajj is different. Yes, from what I can gather. Show me it. I haven't seen this book for a long time. I've never read it though.
Similar, but maybe different slightly.
Yeah, it's Maraqil Falah is the author's. He put Hibatul Fattah in, which is the Takmila of Nur-e-Da, but it's written by Muhammad Muhyiddin Abdul Hamid. I have no idea who that is. Okay, but that's what's in the book. So that's not the author that we're following. Okay, the author wrote Maraqil Falah. It was better for somebody who did the translation of this, for him to add the author's own writing as opposed to somebody else's writing. Hence why it's really different to what we will talk about. Okay. But we'll do that next week, inshallah. Yeah, we'll start Zakat next week, and we're doing a nice simple way. I'm going to move away from what the author's written slightly, but explain it in terms of what is associated to yourself in a nice, easy manner, and I'll show you the method of how to work out your Zakat as well, inshallah. And then we have Hajj to do. Okay.
The book that you mentioned, is that available in English?
I don't think it's been translated, I'm not sure. Any questions before we leave? Go for it. Any one of you? He has loads of books, but the one that I always refer to is Shara Muslim. Yes, the only one more or less the only one in Urdu with his name. Okay. Go for it. Yeah, like we said, if you can, if you're traveling and the travel is easy, yes, you can fast, and it's better to fast. Yes, but the leave's there for you. Yes. No more questions? No, not over a doubt. Doubt does not remove certainty. Yeah, the certainty is that you fasted. The doubt is I could have broken it, so it won't remove that certainty.